Hello, hello. Happy Friday. We're back. Hey, Rain and Journey. Hey, Nanigans. Hey, Nix. Thanks for the hydrate. Fix the code? Not really. We've sidestepped it. So I missed the last couple streams due to my... Gotta not swear in the first 7 minutes of the video or something, I'm told. Due to the inherent danger of over-assigning work to the GPU to the point of it consuming all of its cores and including those special dedicated cores for video encoding. So our dream of compute shader rendering is on hold. Hey, Corolla, they're working now. They're working too well, you know? They were working so well, they were like, here, let's have the whole GPU do it, including the part that's supposed to be encoding the video. So yeah, I put a pin in it. I'm gonna continue working on it offline, but I rolled back to canvas item drawing. Boring, old, using the engine as it was intended, sort of canvas item drawing. Sometimes that's what you do. All right, who renamed themselves to Enum Month? Nix, you got your new cat yesterday? Oh, her name's Chili. She cosplayed as a broom at 5 a.m. this morning. She broomed up all under the stove, which had a wooden panel in front of it, which she somehow was able to penetrate. That's so funny. Like the T-1000 liquid Terminator. Yeah. Took you 2 hours to save her. Well, it's important to explore your new environment, right? So yeah, canvas item. Good night, my little compute shader for now. I'm gonna remove it from the scene. I'm gonna keep working on it offline. I think there's a lot of hope with that. The thing is, I don't think I can do what I intended to do, which is just shove the final set of work onto the GPU and hope that it does a good job. I think I would need to rethink an entire longer GPU pipeline that creates the data and keeps it on the GPU and nibbles away at the work, which could be good for us overall still, but I think I need to work on managing that workload so that we don't lose, you know, our ability to encode video while we're working on this. We were aiming for very low utilization with this project. How's everyone doing, though? Happy Friday. I'm a little tired. I've been staying up late the last few days trying to get this system working. So if I'm a little unfocused, that's why. But we're back. We got a few hours to work on our game, so let's do it. Hey, Fusionist. How's it going? Hey, Sapphire. You'll be able to stay for a little bit today? Nice, nice. I appreciate that. You're having a good week. I hope you're gonna have a better weekend. Hey, Fusionist. Yeah, we went on a compute shader tangent this week. It kind of backfired. I flew a little too close to the sun, so we're taking a step back and putting that on hold a little bit. We're gonna work on some other stuff that needs to be worked on anyway. I'll keep working on that compute shader rendering pipeline in my own time. All right, I did a bunch of stuff. A lot of it broke. I did a bunch of stuff to re-enable this process. I also tried to optimize the drawing a little bit, and I feel like we're close. There's this weird thing that happens that I used to think was just a consequence of the choice we made, but now I'm thinking there's like a bug somewhere. I'll show it in a second. Corolla, you were doing some digital painting today. You were redrawing a fake loading screen you drew 5 years ago with your art skills, your current today's art skills. Also, the lore for the project changed a bit. Nice, nice. It's crazy to go back and work on something that from so long ago. You're doing good. The bajillionaire demo build is approved. Yeah, you're waiting on the page now. Hell yeah. Yeah, let me know when that's up. Please share that. What were we up to? We're trying to offload our rendering onto like a compute shader pipeline. And we were doing a little too much. I misjudged, you know, how much we needed to do and how I was utilizing everything and how much time I was giving the system to do it. And we ended up utilizing, you know, 100% of our GPU, which made streaming really difficult. So I've rolled that back. I'm going to try it again when I can constrain the performance a little better. Give it time. Compute shader wants time to do its thing, and I was not giving it that. So I think I need to rethink. I think essentially I want this entire canvas item drawing system to get rewritten as a series of compute stages. See if I can get the data directly onto the GPU and keep it there and build up the representation gradually and keep it up to date. We'll see. We'll see. We're gonna do our canvas item drawing method instead for now, which I think will be fine. It was an experiment. It was an alternative way to do the rendering that I wanted to try. Right now, what we're doing is we're passing data to a canvas item and calling the canvas item's queue redraw. And we're doing a canvas item for each Z layer in front of the camera. So we're kind of rendering the layers of it out. And we're doing that with canvas item and with draw calls. I kind of wanted to try doing it in the compute shader. Struggled a little bit. Hey, Mugiwara. I see you. Nanigans, you're not sure any of the approaches I'm going down is using the engine as intended. Look, canvas item lets you do your own draw calls. I feel like that's using the system as intended. I feel like that's within the bounds of using the system as intended. Loosely. By the time we've got all this, you'll have your own engine within Godot. That's the way. That's the way. You seem to be, you know, I don't know if you should be throwing stones in your glass house, Diginanigans. You have a long 3-day weekend. Nice. Oh yeah, it's a holiday weekend for a lot of people. Not for me, but you know, can't win them all. Next, you worked on your game yesterday. Yesterday, you finally figured out the whole a Kahlua problem. I was like, what is that? I'm gonna change the radio. You wanted to expose your Java code to Lua in a specific Project Zomboid way. Now it works, sort of. Very much work in progress. You can interact with your Java mod in Lua during runtime, and the user can change the character morphs using said Lua code, which is an interactable window. That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. Excuse you, it's not a glass house, it's a house made of voxels. I see, I see. I wouldn't know about that since I'm not making a voxel game. So there's this thing that happens Well, there's a couple things that we need to solve now. One is my initialization stage is like not good. Like the first time I try to draw stuff. Oh, if it draws at all. Here we go. Why can I only draw in this very narrow range? Oh, I'm at the edge. So that's weird. The first layer behaves super weirdly. Every layer I draw after that behaves kind of normally. But yeah, we still have we have a really interesting performance thing, which like this looks pretty responsive. So kind of slow. Too slow, I would say here. But this is like a really bad test case. But like kind of responsive. This, ignore the block bouncing around. That's actually based on a threaded process that's taking multiple frames to complete. I also slowed the physics update down to 30 hertz, which I should speed back up. But the camera, if you notice, the camera is like super responsive. Like we're not being held up, even though we're drawing this huge volume. I think I've got some level of occlusion calling working. So we're able to do this, but there's something that happens when I get up to the origin. Oh, it's not happening now. So there's something that happens sometimes if I'm drawing up near the origin. Can I make this happen? No, I can't. Yeah, so I don't know. So there it was like pretty responsive in terms of the rendering. Ignoring the block thing. But watch what happens when I do this in the editor. Hey, Arneo, looks fine. Yeah, right. No, I don't know why the first draw is behaving so weirdly. I kind of do, but I don't. But watch what happens when I do the same kind of big draw thing. I'll draw just a big cube. The rendering seems like really performant. Okay, are you just not going to do it today? Do I need to be closer to the origin? I have this problem when I'm close to the origin, to the 0, 0 tile at the far back, where the performance would just tank really hard. Was that just the profiler? Was the profiler just tanking my performance? Yeah, there's this crazy, like, camera graphics thing that bounces me around sometimes. Yeah, here we go. Right here. What the heck is this? And we get a bunch of performance spikes in the process time. Like, this is bad. Like, this is quite bad. I don't know what's going on here. It only happens sometimes. And only if you're in certain parts of the window. Like, here we're fine. If I go down here. Here we're also fine. There's something going on that is just causing chaos. And I don't know what it is. I don't think it's a scripting. Well, maybe it is a scripting function. Okay, there's a scripting function. What's happening? What's causing this insanity? It's not draw. God, I wish I could pin these. This is maybe one of the least helpful ways to present this stuff. I can't sort these. I can't even keep an eye on it. Maybe I can just snipe the entry here on the debugger. Like, what is going on here? It's draw. Okay, see, it's draw. It's doing a mass redraw. But I don't know why that is causing a mass redraw. I don't know. Get texture atlases. 746 calls. Is that for a total of 3.42 milliseconds, or is each of those calls 3.2 milliseconds? That doesn't make sense. I think it's the total. Yeah, there's something here. We're doing too much updating at once, but only when we're at these weird points. I don't know what it is. In case you're driving over potholes, your cameraman and his fancy gimbal and frame stabilization can only compensate so much. True. That's true. Yeah, I don't know. We're causing something weird to happen occasionally here. However, this rendering performance is also very bad. Even when the scripts aren't doing anything. We see these spikes when I bring the camera over certain locations. So I don't know what's going on with that. I'm not happy with it. At first I thought it was like an inherent problem with our canvas item drawing process. And now I think it's like something else. I think there's a confluence of things that's happening, because there will be the same number of things to draw, and sometimes our process time is 7 milliseconds and sometimes it's 50. So I don't know if there's something weird happening with like a bounding box that the canvas item might form. I don't know if there's something happening at the engine level where it's trying to do its own like frustrum culling or something, or I don't know. I don't know. The coffee machine is priority over the engine's output, so this happens during lunch. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm having a hard time. Well, we should probably fix this initial state thing. I added a system that is supposed to reduce the drawing to just, so like super smooth rendering. There's some cursor mapping stuff happening, which is not good. Or maybe I'm just at the edge. That might actually just be the edge. Yeah, super fine. Everything's fine. Nothing's being weird. We start the profiler. Totally smooth. Same complexity as the last scene. We've actually filled like the majority of the horizontal space. I could start to fill the more of the vertical space. And here we go. So now we're cooking. So now what happens when I let go of this? Aha, okay, so it'll bounce back. Oh, and now all the insanity. Now we've reached, so once we've recovered, I think it's because while I'm drawing like that, the visibility system hasn't accounted for that space yet. But yeah, like, that spike is gone unless I move the camera up far enough. And now the camera and everything has just lost its mind. Like what's going on? You'll see the performance thing come in off the side of the profiler here, and it's weird. It's definitely weird. Is it like based on where the cursor is? Not really. It seems to be exclusively based on where the camera is. So like here, 7 milliseconds to draw all this stuff. Totally fine. Everything's great. If I make the mistake of moving the camera a little too far up, all hell breaks loose. So, I don't know. I have something there. There's something there. It's concerning. So, I don't know. I want to try to figure that out. I don't really want to put too much effort in the canvas item drawing. If we didn't have that performance characteristic of this kind of insanity that seems to be happening, I would trust this a lot more. There was only 2 crazy script function frames here. The rest of it was just pure rendering madness. Oh good, I can zoom in. Draw. 11 calls to draw for 90 milliseconds. Yeah, I don't know. Perplexing. Is it triggering when you move the camera to the pointer where your cursor would have been the previous frame? That is impossible to say. It seems to get worse generally when you move towards move towards like the origin coordinate. But that's not always the case. We did a test here just now, just before this, like a couple before, where I made like 2 separate blocks, and it only lagged when we moved down the field towards that second set of blocks. So yeah, I think I just need to do a ton of testing and try to find what the common point is, but I don't know where it is, so I'm not going to think about it right now. We're going to work on something else. We're going to work on that initial state. So I made a visibility system that I'm not pleased with, but it does its job, where it just goes through all the blocks and it figures out which blocks are visible based on the settled block construction. So it's an optimization that we make once we commit to a block, which is not sufficient for me in my mind. I want something faster. But it's working okay for now. It's working okay in realistic use cases. The case that I'm doing where you like just drag a tile up and like create an enormous volume, that's not a thing people are going to do. I don't think that's a thing people are going to be able to do. I think I'm going to add restrictions. I think I'm going to add restrictions that you can only expand a block construction in 2 of 3 dimensions. Like one of the dimensions has to be 1. And that would make it so you can make walls. You can make walls and you can make ceilings and floors based on your click drag. I think I'm going to enforce something like that. Because I'm trying to keep the rendering performance limited to basically what you can see. Like, we shouldn't waste time rendering something you can't see. The other thing I want to do, which I can't really do yet, but what I really want to do is I think I want to render 2 compartments. Like right now we're rendering to the Z layer. So we're rendering, so like this is a layer, this is a layer, this is a layer, this is a layer, this is a layer. I don't really want to do it like this, because it doesn't really make sense in terms of what usually changes and also what exists in players' perception. I think it makes a lot more sense to do the layering based on compartment. So you just render a compartment together, and then based on our compartment cutaway system, that compartment either is visible or it's not. And I think that would simplify the rendering a lot. Do you have that same number of tiles spread out and it worked fine though? Well, I'm trying to activate like the worst case scenario, which is filling the whole volume. So that's what I've been doing. So I can't really spread the tiles out because I'm filling like the entire volume. I mean, I could try something like that. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. The first thing I need to do, though, is sort out this issue where the visibility system starts out in kind of an invalid state. So I need to run it early. What would be the easiest way to do that? Would it be easiest just have the sync preview buffer changes? Sync preview buffer, if settled, sync settled buffer changes. Sync buffer or sync task is complete. There's this, if sync preview or sync. Yeah, I think I just want to trigger the block visibility system to run once right at the start. So the easiest way to do that would be what? To just run it? I don't really really have a task for that. Oh, I have this sync task. What if I just set it up like this on ready? I don't think that would work very well, but I think I'm going to try it. I think I'm going to try it. I think we'll run just the block visibility systems. We'll run just this one for now. See if that starts us in a valid state. Nope, still not in a valid state. It's because visibility is a positive characteristic. Like, I mark what is visible. I should probably mark what to occlude instead. Instead of marking something as visible. What if I flipped it? What if I flipped that whole organization on its head? It's going to involve renaming a bunch of stuff. Can I rename the file and it will rename the... It's going to be the occlusion system. Uh-oh, renaming things. No, I already know what I want to call it. Otherwise, yes, I would get stuck on that for a while. So this isn't going to be the block visibility buffer anymore. It's going to be the block occlusion buffer. Block occluded. Occlusion is fine. This might be short-lived as well. So I don't know how this is going to interact with the idea of doing this all by per compartment. Really in my long variable name phase, huh? I'm not going to rearrange any of that. Hey, Amuse. Streaming on Friday the 13th. Bold. I know. Today is the day. Take chances. Cross the street without looking. Cache invalidation and naming variables, the two problems of programmers. Don't forget about off by one errors. Just don't go camping. Yeah, there you go. So occluded will be false until it's true. So this way we're going to be... This should have a better initialization, because we need to explicitly tell the system that we can include a block. Leon Bambrick. The whole quote is, there are two hard problems in computer science. Cache invalidation, naming things, and off by one errors. Yeah. Yep. Alright, still gotta flip the conditional here. I'm out of coffee, and that makes me sad. It was good coffee. Rip. There's a riff of the original quote by Matthias. I don't know how to say that last name. Barris. There are only two hard problems in distributed systems. 2, exactly once delivery. 1, guaranteed order of messages. 2, exactly once delivery. That's good. Good and true. Sapphire, there's only 3 kinds of people in the world, those who can count and those who can't. All right. Have I successfully swapped this? So we're using a little 2D buffer to track the occlusion just as a bit flag. I was just going to add it to a tag on block tags, but the thing is we have to be careful about, there's only certain, our sync, the way we sync the blocks, there's some information that travels from the settle block to the preview block, and there's some information that travels from the preview block to the settle block. And we can't mix those, because if we mix those, then we don't really have double buffering anymore. Like the values that the settle block buffer systems write to can't be the same values that the preview block buffer systems write to. Whatever the preview block buffer systems write to need to be read-only for the settle block buffer systems, and vice versa. And so I had to split it up into its own thing. So I actually am not sure. Did I actually? Yeah, I did add this to the list. It should not be in the list. I'm not sure how that occlusion is going to work with the cutaway system, which is kind of why I want to do this by compartment. Which we need to enable some other systems back. So we have plenty of stuff to work on that's not the rendering. Which is good. Which is good. All right, block occlusion system ready. What about you? What are you looking for? By the way, how do you like Pretzel Rocks? You're looking at music options for your streams. Pretzel Rocks, I have mixed feelings about. I like most of the music on the station, but it's kind of buggy. The app is kind of buggy. I think if you're doing this and you're just looking for Twitch music, I think it's better because you can say what kind of music you want to play. Like for me, I have to be like, I need music that I can play on Twitch and YouTube. And personally, I want that music to be instrumental. So like I have a bunch of filters and it limits the amount of music I can play. But they still have a decent amount of music with that set of filters. I think if you're just looking at Twitch, Pretzel is okay. A lot of my videos get demonetized, which, whatever, I don't make money from my videos, really, but that's something to keep in mind, too, when you're playing licensed music like this. Like, you'll be allowed to play the music, but they might not let you make money off it, you know? All right. Yeah, so right now, all we're doing is waiting to be sure. Okay, I can see why that is really bad, the way we're organizing this and why we're having some performance spikes. I can kind of see why, because of the way we've split it. You're on both too? Okay, yeah, then it's tough. There aren't a lot of options. Twitch has like a music system and YouTube has like a music system, but you can't use those, right? Because they're not going to work on both. Like, I don't mind getting claimed. It's more when they ban the video, the Shadow Realm. Yeah, they don't do the, it's not a copyright claim, but it's like, they can tell if it's copyright music. And yeah, they'll just be like, you can't make money on this. Twitch will mute your VOD, but YouTube will just demonetize it. So I don't like Twitch for that. But I also don't recommend people watch the VODs on Twitch. You should watch the VODs on YouTube. They're higher quality, and they're not muted. There's a fear with Pretzel Rocks, which is, as long as you continue to pay for it, you are protected from copyright claims. So, I'm basically locked in to pay them forever, as long as I want to maintain these videos. Because if I ever stopped paying Pretzel Rocks, or they went away and they were no longer defending their copyrights, and not their copyrights, but they were no longer defending their contracts and stuff, these VODs would just be gone forever. So I do want to move off somewhere someday. I want to, once we have enough ambient music that I've written, that's what we'll use for like our edited videos. Like, I would never use Pretzel Rocks for an edited video, but for the live stream, it's worth it. But yeah, all these VODs might just go away one day. Which is, c'est la vie. So there are concerns. Hey, Magoo. It's out of budget for you? Yeah, fair. A lot of people don't mind no music. Hey, Commander Apollo, you haven't caught a stream in a while. We haven't streamed for a while. We were dealing with some bugs that made it really hard to stream. I was devouring my GPU. You write music? I am capable. I haven't done any digital music. I've only ever done physical, like instrumentation and Foley and stuff. So that's always what I've done when I needed to make stuff. I record a little bit of instrument and I record some sound effects, but I need to get into the more digital stuff. There's some tools I want to mess around with that's more about ambient soundscapes and stuff, and I want to get into that. I want to get into making more of that. So what am I doing here? I'm up here and I'm this changes. All right, so we flipped it. We flipped everything. Will it work now? Hello, fellow Godot user. Hey, Mimir Bites. How's it going? Okay, that still is not starting in a good state. Oh, if not block occlusion. Yeah, I gotta flip all of it. Duh, Dave. You were able to stay a little longer, but you got to go now. No worries, Sapphire. Thanks for hanging out. The Muse. You thought about music you commission in the background, but it's a little distracting. Or you thought about using music you commission in the background. Yeah, I couldn't do the like pirate software thing where he's playing the same like hour of music for like 8 hours a day. I would lose my mind if that was my life streaming. So that is the nice thing about this, is I rarely hear the same song more than once a day. Sometimes I go, like, I usually play radios that have 30, 40 hours of music, and we stream for like three or so hours at a time. So it's a low likelihood I end up getting like worn down by repetitive music, but it is going to be rough in the long term. In the long term, we need our own music. But I'm looking at doing longer, more like ambient soundscape stuff. So we'll see. I don't know. Be a good test of it. I want to make some of that stuff. What are you even up to, Mimir Bites? Taking a bite out of game dev, out of Godot dev. Hey, Stephen Paul, what's up? Let's go to the background. You just saw this pop up in your feed. You're curious. You've never seen the channel before. How's your progress coming? Slow. We're building an FTL-like in Godot. We've been trying a bunch of different rendering approaches because I'm trying to render these 3D ships that are like layered in isometric 2D. And it's challenging. So right now we reverted to, we're sorting out some bugs. Here we go. Okay, that kind of worked this time. Let me do the full screen version of it. But yeah, we're working on a tool that lets us build these 3D ships. So you can like, you know. Ooh, okay. That's new. Yeah, we're trying to sort this bug out where the lowest level keeps getting rendered incorrectly. I think I'm just, when I'm iterating through the occlusion, I'm not following through all the way in some cases. But yeah, there's this system to build these 3D spaces. We also have systems to flood fill them to figure out where the sealed compartments are, and systems to cut away outer walls so that you can see those inner compartments. But yeah, we're mostly still in tools development, making the tools that we'll need to build this game out, you know. Okay, the rendering performance is like really stable. Like, you pay attention, it's mainly in the camera. Don't watch the preview block. The preview block is slow. It's purposely slow. But yeah, the camera movement's great. We're not seeing any of that crazy shake. I don't know what's causing some of those effects. I don't know. We're going to get around this problem by just having a small scope in the beginning anyway. Like, the lo-fi flyby ships are going to be small. We're building like Firefly scale ships at first. So that should be okay. Let's try to figure out what's happening here on the minimum. We're inaccurately listing blocks at the bottom as being visible or not visible, and we're doing it incorrectly. Mimir, you're taking a break from coding in Godot. Nice, nice. Yeah, well, most of this game is written in C#, but we do have some GD script that we use for mostly rendering and UI stuff. So you're prototyping visual design right now? Kind of. It's more like the construction space that we can use to build and visualize the game. So yeah, I guess in a way that's that. But thanks for checking out the channel. We do this, we are usually live Tuesday through Saturday here for a few hours during the day. Commander Apollo, you were just thinking about streaming game dev? You decided to check in here first? Yeah, that's awesome. Do it. If you stream it, they will watch. Arneo, you downloaded a free Fruity Loops type program today. It made you tired, very quickly. Use some preliminary ideas for music. Making anything audio is still a huge burden for you. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I want to kind of check out that code, that like code up language music program. Because I'm really not like a visual scripting guy, and that's how all modular, like synth, like DAW kind of style things are set up. So I don't know. I should probably just give it a go. What are we trying to do? Oh yeah, so I think there's a problem in the occlusion system. I think we're early outing before we get to the baseline. for I... Yeah, something about this loop is wrong. We're not reaching the bottom in certain positions. That's awesome. You hopped on the game dev train about 3 years ago. You've become super addicted to watching other people make games now as well. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, I am Dave though. So welcome aboard the game Dave train. What kind of stuff do you like working on? Same with you, Mimir Bites. I know you said you're taking a break from coding. What are you coding? You're guessing most people in the stream are co-working? I think that's a very safe guess. All right. So what we're supposed to be doing is we're supposed to start at the minimum value of this vector. This vector is some coordinate on the outside of the shape. And right now our occlusion is like really dumb. Right now it's just, is the block immediately diagonally above us blocked? Then we're occluded. I want to switch it eventually to a system where it's like checking, where it has like a set of flags for all of its neighbors. So if it's like fully enclosed by other blocks at the edge, it will also be considered enclosed. But I think that's generally overkill for this right now, so we're not doing that. But what we are doing is having a problem. Because we're stopping, I think in some cases we're stopping before we get to the end, is what's happening. Oh, you got an itch, Link, Mimir? Yeah, let me see. Ooh, already I'm interested. Galaxy Quest Online. Fast-paced sci-fi RTS with quick battles and constant pressure to outplay your enemies. Sick. Online, huh? Like... Nice. It's got a nice look to it. This looks slick. What are your plans for this? This reminds me of, you know, Distant Worlds, AI War. Maybe a little Sins of a Solar Empire. I like the graphics. Pixelation is just chunky enough for me. I like a chunky pixelation. The environments are slick though. Cool. I'll check more out. I'll check this out more later. Play it in the browser. Sick. Love the box art. Take it back to the Windows XP era. Yeah, it's got a nice retro vibe. I also like that box art. Conquest. Good. It's a nice painting. Okay, there's something else we need to do. We need to keep this in the back of our minds. But Down to Jam. Down to Jam is happening. Theme submissions just opened for Down to Jam. Down to Jam is going to be March 3rd through, or March 6th through 9th. Theme submissions are open. I can submit 2 themes. I need to think of some Game Jam themes. So I can submit some themes. I can submit a theme idea. And I can submit a clarification. Just try to explain the interpretation of the theme. I think having an optional second category is pretty neat. I think people are free to ignore the detail, but... You know, I'm always complaining about theme suggestions, but I never submit my own, so I should probably try something. Theme idea, never gonna give you up. All right, Nix. Why am I not surprised? All right, so why do I think this is not working? OY, OZ, OX is locked to gameboard maximum. So these iterate from the maximum to 0, and then the interior for I equals 0. I is less than min, I plus plus. So we subtract this step from the outer vector, and that gives us our inner vector. Then we access the occlusion buffer with that inner vector xy, and we set the z to either clear or set that flag. Oh, is this flipped now? No, this should be correct. If occluded is true, then set that. Otherwise, clear it. Starts false. But why don't we get fully through this here? So I is 0, I is less than min, I plus plus. So if I is less than min, we should I plus plus. And that would bring us to I equals min. And then so we get min minus I should be 0. So we should be hitting the border every time for this. Did I write it wrong somewhere? Did I make some stupid mistake? Is there a reason we're seeing this only on this iteration? The last iteration? We're only seeing it here at the origin for this last iteration, and maybe that's the problem. Oh, are we minning the OX and the OY? No, that's right. That should be right. It should be right. All right. The thing that happens to my computer sometimes where seemingly every USB device gets disconnected and reconnected a second later. Just happened again. I don't know what that is. I don't want to think about it. Theme idea brainstorms? Yeah. Here's bangers and mash. Okay. Steven, your current focus on your project is enemy AI, specifically in the programming inside things. Heavy in the prototype and exploring different algorithms to have basically a very bloated AI. Goal is a very emergent context-based AI. Oh. Yeah, that sounds hard. That sounds very difficult. I've not thought about that very much. Our main AI is going to be a little crew member, probably AI. Because I want the crew members to be a little RimWorld-like. Like, I don't want them to be mindless like in FTL. I want them to have their own little behaviors that they go through. That'll be fun. But I'm not trying to make a competitive AI, which is important. I think as soon as you start trying to make it competitive, or you start trying to make give the AI the same... whenever you try to have a symmetrical AI whose like challenge is like arrayed symmetrically against the player, like as a 1-to-1 or 1-to-many thing, it gets so tough. As long as you can have some asymmetry in your AI where they're allowed to think and behave differently than a person would, that I feel like that's when they thrive. The Muse, kind of like the Sims. They have free will, but you can instruct them and they may or may not do it. Yeah, kind of like that. Is the issue not on line 70? It probably is. I'm very unfocused. Line 70. So the OY declaration. OY is game.board.maximum.y -1. OY is greater than 0. OY minus. I don't think so. It's -1 to prevent a duplication of effort, because so if what we're doing is we're searching basically from the 3 surface planes that are facing you in a cube, and so we do the whole plane for the X face, and then we do the whole plane for the Y face, but minus that central seam, And then we do the same thing for the top face, but again, minus the seams. Just so we don't check those seam coordinates twice. The other loops don't have... Yeah, it's... I add it gradually. So like this plane, we do the whole update. And then this plane, we cross over one of the seams. So we skip that. And then this plane, we cross over both of the seams. So we skip them. So it is different. Maximum -1. Yeah. I think that's okay. I don't think that's causing it. No, not bad at all. It's a good question. Not a bad question. I haven't spotted the error, so... You know. You going for behavioral framework? I'm like a very simple man. I think not having thought about the problem at all in any meaningful way. I like utility AI. I like Dave Mark style utility AI, which I think will work for us because we have this whole ECS thing. So I think what I would have is a lot of very simple behavioral stuff triggered by some utility function, having evaluated some number of their components and like other relevant components or something. I don't have a huge framework. I don't want them to be smart enough to be formulating their own goals and stuff. I just would want them to be like fulfilling whatever immediate need they have, assuming they're at liberty to fulfill their own needs, or they're at a breaking point where they would. Because it's really just like if you're in a low state of security and someone feels like going to get a sandwich, it would be fun to watch them leave their station, go get a sandwich in the mess hall, and then come back to their station. But like you could put the ship on like red alert and then people aren't free to leave their station. And then maybe that leads to some kind of stress spiral or something. Like I want to play with morale because morale on a ship is like a really big deal. But I want to play with it in the more like the Rim World or Darkest Dungeon, like outbursts kind of things, like where people get pushed to the brink and they either behave heroically and like rise to the occasion, or maybe they snap and have some kind of mental break, like a brief mental break. And they run, or you know, they make a mistake or something like that. I want to play with that a little. But I'm not trying to simulate these people very deeply. They would just maybe have some tendencies. So maybe you'd have a character who would be, you know, more likely to abandon their station to go get a sandwich than someone else. Also, because I'm not a great artist, and we have a very limited set of resolution. Like, our characters are very simple, and they are going to look very similar to each other. Like, there's not going to be a huge... Maybe early on, they'll look different if we're, like, doing a more Firefly kind of, like, small crew, different outfits and stuff like that. It might be easier to tell. But I don't think we're going to have, like, this array of alien species like an FTL. So, like, the differentiation in people's behavior is going to need to come from these, like, stats or these, like, personality traits or something like that. And against the way you're planning on doing your AI is by having a list of preferences and a weight score to each that can be changed for different characters. On their turn, conditions for each preference is measured. And depending on the score for those conditions, it evaluates with some random variation which action will result in the higher score for that preference. Yeah, that seems reasonable. Steven, dude, make it so that there's a stress level and you have to put them in therapy sessions to reduce stress. It would be great. It would be great if you had like a ship's counselor. That's kind of the scope. I feel like the scope range of this game is like at the bottom end is like Firefly, and at the top of the end is like the Enterprise, like the D, the big D. And so like, yeah, maybe you don't, maybe at the Firefly level, you don't have a real counselor. Maybe you just have, you know, the wayward shepherd there to console you, or the companion like Book or Inara, you know. But yeah, once you get up to like you're flying the D, you got Deanna Troy. You've got a dedicated ship's counselor who also has an incredible sensory capability. Yeah, there's some fun stuff. Dwarf Fortress type tantrum spirals. Exactly, Arneo. You need the capacity for that sort of thing to happen. Like, there could be a mutiny. Wouldn't that be neat if there was just a mutiny? Wouldn't that be fun? I don't know how much work we're gonna get done today. I kind of just feel like I'm at the end of the week here for me, and man, this has been a draining week. I've been staying up way too late working on stuff, and I have paid for it every single morning. I need to balance it a little bit better, so I have the energy and the focus for these streams. Corolla, you're going for behavior tree for your ships. Basically dumb, but they should be able to use tactics like hiding behind terrain or allies. Position selector already supports taking cover. Nice, nice. I think position selections are a very underexplored topic compared to pathfinding and high-level AI. They're basically spatial utility systems. That's a good point. They are basically like spatial utility systems, and you can do some neat stuff with that. I think if you'll see, I think it's adjacent to pathfinding, but if you look at like what Dawn of War and like Company of Heroes do, it seems like it's kind of like a flow field, so that you can evaluate the terrain, and that's good when you're on a terrestrial terrain. It's a little harder to do like in space, but the yeah, having that kind of flow field cover system that affects the pathfinding is really neat. And if you do it at a flow field level, the complexity is tied to the terrain, not to the number of navigators. So like that's how you make it work at like an RTS level. That's what I'm really trying to do at our rendering level. I'm trying to reduce the complexity to like what you can actually see, and man, I'm having a hard time doing it. Or I'm having a hard time actually constraining that complexity appropriately. How much hard science for sci-fi are planning to add? It's abstracted. It's still a heavily abstracted game. I'm actually tempted to not have discrete camera movement. I'm tempted to have like you can reseat things per tile or something like that, because the ships aren't actually going to move. They'll rotate, so a ship might rotate 90 degrees and then like reposition itself relative to another ship, but it's still going to be like two mostly static ships alongside each other, like FTL style. Like it's still going to be abstracted, board gamey. So I feel like, which isn't answering your question, but I feel like I'm going to be very hand wavy. I'm going to make very little effort to explain things with hard sci-fi. Like I've thought about it insofar as we're going to have like hyper jumps rather than just like high speed warp. It'll be like actually like moving through subspace or something like that. Like you jump from one location to another location. You don't like fly along. And I'm going to be like, okay, what's that? Well, maybe it's like a negative energy drive using vacuum energy or something. And it's like, how does that work? Because physics doesn't allow for that to work. And that's when you just hand wave it away. You're like, I don't know. It's the Heisenberg compensator allows us to harness vacuum energy for a negative energy drive, which allows us to punch through space-time. I'm not a big hard sci-fi snob. I don't even mind space fantasy, honestly. Something fusion core, yeah. All right, what am I doing? Trying to understand the nature of this visibility problem that is only seeming to affect. Here, let's actually test if that's true. Oh, so it's fine here. If I raise the Z index, also fine here. Then what if I try to draw something? Here's the interesting part. So this is a very strange. So I flipped it. We still have this visibility problem, but because it's quote unquote opt-in, it seems kind of irregular. And then we can just put a layer on top of this and it's fine. But that bottom layer never gets fixed. So yeah, I do feel like there's some occlusion problem happening at that bottom layer. I don't understand it quite, but I'm sure it's here. All right, Neil, one of your first successful forts in Dwarf Fortress spiraled because you didn't make socks in the clothing industry. The rotten, smelly socks called so much grief it spiraled out of control. I think that's neat. We're not making Dwarf Fortress, let's be super clear. But there's certain elements of that, of the lived-in world that I really like. We're definitely aiming more on the RimWorld side of that. Like much smaller scale. Amuse, you prefer hard sci-fi, but at a certain point you end up not being able to do anything because it doesn't make sense in physics. Yeah, exactly. Like, it can be cool. Like, it could be cool that you need to have radiators on your ship, and, like, that actually affects things, like decision-making and plot and, like, all that. Or you could just... If it doesn't directly affect anything, it doesn't matter whether you have radiators or not, right? Like, if it doesn't come into the world in a meaningful way, then it's like... And that's the hard part with hard sci-fi, is making it all work together. Which is why at a certain point you're just like, I don't know, space magic. Something space magic. The shortest distance between two places is 0. Now that would be a good Friday the 13th sci-fi movie to watch. Event Horizon. I watched that recently. That is so good. That movie holds up so well. Such a good film. I don't know if I would say such a good film, but it's such a great experience. Is the pattern always the same? That's a good question, Arnia. That's a good question, actually. It's going to be hard to recreate. But let's look for some patterns. Because that would help us. I'm looking at a couple of those weird squiggly L-shaped things. I'm going to see if they're still here. Oop. Try to recreate vaguely the same shape. It looks like it may be the same. Okay, that's a really weird indicative shape over there. Maybe if I can clarify that that's always happening. It does look like it's the same. My instinct is telling me that's the case here. Yep, it's exactly the same. Which is interesting. So maybe... But there's no great pattern to the madness here. That I can tell. I'm just gonna do the whole thing. Well, that's interesting. This is our maximum area that we can build over. This is a huge, like, I don't think we're ever going to have a ship this big. But if we do, man, it's going to be cool. What? How interesting is this? Look, it works totally fine back here. The first, I don't know, how far is this? So the first 14 or 15 of these. Yeah, the first 15 of these are fine. And then it gets all crazy. And it's fine for a few lines, and then it's crazy again. This is interesting. And then the second floor is all fine. The second layer just works. Yeah, this rendering performance is like okay. There's something about this I don't understand. Looks like a repeating pattern. Maybe you're overwriting some data in the buffer. I'm writing true data. So because we made this opt-in, we know that this system is reaching those tiles because it's marking them as occluded. So it's marking them as being truly occluded. So we are reaching them. If block tags iv.has occluded is true. So this only affects the next tile. That should never really cause us any trouble here. You just saw Interstellar recently, and they tried really hard to make it make sense in science, and it was more distracting than anything. Yeah. Like the whole 5-dimensional... Spoilers for Interstellar. The whole 5-dimensional alien thing is like super cool, but there's no hired sci-fi version of that. Any plans to allow for more aerodynamic or non-rectangular ships? You mean this in the nicest way, but the way this works now, everything will end up looking like a Borg cube. We very much strongly have plans for that. Before, back when the blocks used to be much bigger, so now the blocks are small. The blocks are very small. And you stack them to make things. It used to be that the blocks were a lot bigger. And when the blocks were bigger, we thought of all these angular shapes and how to do angular shapes. I haven't done any smooth curves yet, but yeah, building this is going to be a pain in the butt. Especially now that we have to build out their individual parts. But yeah, there are gonna be block shapes that you can use. And they'll be basically prefabs that consist of multiple blocks together that have something like a curve or like this. I don't know how I'm gonna build them all. But yeah, we're gonna support stuff like that. Our problem is that we need to support stuff at full resolution and half resolution. So I have to be careful about what I draw. Anything I draw at full resolution, I need to also be able to draw at half resolution for the block pieces, at least. Other stuff, I don't need to include necessarily. Like, not everything is going to have a half scale equivalent, I don't think. But we'll see. At least the terrain, the environmental terrain stuff will. Starting with cubes, yeah. Anigans, disable the occlusion, see if the bug persists to help drill down what method. Yeah, I am certain that it's the occlusion system, but it's not a bad idea. Oh, no, okay. Okay, not the occlusion system's fault. Look at me. I guess it makes sense. It was still happening when it was the visibility system. Visibility system does not run. Well, okay, it runs once. Is that the problem? No, it doesn't run once at all. It doesn't run. Unless I have it run here. Nope. Pattern changed again? It did it? It looks like the same pattern. This I recognize this part of the pattern. I don't know if all of it is unchanged, but interesting. Who's doing this? Who is doing this? Whose fault is this besides me? Besides mine? It's interesting the way it's reacting with its outlines. So it's registering that these blocks are here. It just won't. It's also interesting. It's also this. It seems to be in 3D to an extent. Because it won't show the block above. So this seems to stretch into 3D, but that doesn't make sense because when I do this, everything's fine. Oh, no, it isn't fine until... Okay, so it's never fixed anymore. So the occlusion system was actually fixing it for Z levels higher than 0. But now that we've turned the occlusion system off, there's nothing correcting it. So we just see it in 3D. Neat. Neat. Oh. It's interesting how it seems to be affecting bands, certain bands. Very neat. Okay. So that's interesting. Whose fault is this? It's probably mine. Or block, if a block occlusion dot has whole key dot z. Does this work the way I think it does? Has index flags and 1L. 1UL. Shift index. Not equal to 0. Yeah, no, that works correctly. I don't think it's the cutaway system, but I guess I can verify that's the case. There is, in fact, no cutaway system currently running. Pattern's the same. Yeah, that's curious. That's curious. Yeah, it seems to be absolutely the same. It also seems to have holes in it. I mean, the fact that it's 3D explains why sometimes the block draws and sometimes the block doesn't. So it's not that. Very interesting. This whole line is interesting. Why are you adding a corner piece here? Okay. Interesting that it takes a second for the hole to appear after you place them. That's just a delay. There's a number of systems running as background threads. to handle structural changes. So it takes the system a second or two to fully update everything downstream from when I actually make a change. So yeah, that's interesting, but it's not, I don't think it's problematic here. Hulkey.xy has Hulkey.z. I mean, let's just eliminate this as a contention, as like a thing that we consider. Because it's possible that it's not the system, but it's the initial state of this data. You know what it is? It's probably this undeclared, it probably is the block occlusion. It's probably this undeclared buffer. It probably has an initial starting. It's the fact that it doesn't change is weird, but it's starting with undefined data. Yeah, it's you're saying it looks like a texture representation of a not so good random function. Yeah, it could be. Well, the fact that it's here is a solid. Yeah, so it's the initial state of the occlusion buffer. So the occlusion buffer needs to be initialized or cleared or something. Because it's not defined. It's not well defined when we create it, it looks like. All right, that's not that bad. We can handle that. Thinking about a tea and a tea snack after stream when I go drop off my laundry. What would be a nice tea snack? Maybe a poppy seed muffin. Thanks for the hydrate, Nix. Okay, so it is this data. Appreciate the detective work being done. All right, so what we need to do is we need to initialize this stuff. What would be the easiest way to do that? We can have a ready function that goes through it. So yeah, this is all created and ready. So yeah, let's just do that. Block awk. You have to run. Have a nice evening. Yeah, thanks, Mamir. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the follow. Hope to see you again. Have a good weekend. You got to use your 115,000 points on something. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what we're supposed to do. I thought I was going to let people just dump it into Steam keys, but apparently that's against TOS, so... We're going to have more sound effects. I'm going to add some more sound effects at some point. But I don't know. I don't know what you're going to do next. All right, so let's just iterate through it. And what's the best way to do? Oh, you know what? It's because this is a bit field, so the initial bit field values are just totally random. If this was a buffer 3D of like a byte or something like that, instead of a buffer 2D of a bit field 64. Well, no, because this would be a buffer 3D of a bit field 8 or something like that. So that's not it. TOS, ShmeOS, yeah. Yeah, the TOS is a strange beast. It's one of those things where you see bigger streamers flaunt it without consequence, but that's not something I'm willing to try. So let's just go through and clear. We'll just say for I equals 0, I is less than block awk. Actually, oh yeah, that's fine. I++ block awk dot length. Say block awk I dot clear. Do I not have a let's have a clear without parameters. People usually put that before or after. We'll do it after. I'll say flags. Zero URL. That'll just set it all to 0, right? All right, so we're going to initialize this data. We're going to clear it. Try to get it all back to 0. Oh, then we should probably run it. That'll probably be good. You can include certain games with bots. There was a one-hand robber you saw on a friend's stream where you could stake your points, win big, or more than likely lose it. What'd be really fun is when we get a... Hey, Hoji Rick. What'd be really fun is... if we... Once we get Lo-Fi Flyby kind of running, I plan on having, like, a Lo-Fi Flyby running in, like, the opposite corner. Like, you just see the ship and the crew member running around, and we're just playing that, like, on stream as an overlay. It'd be cool if I could hook that up to Twitch and you could like cause things to happen with points. That'd be fun. Maybe that's something we try to do because I would love to get some Twitch integration. There's some libraries that make that a lot easier for Godot. There are some assets I'm told, some plugins. Manigans, caution you see about giving away Steam keys or selling them off Steam for indie devs is that those keys don't count towards sales and you need to pass sales thresholds to get promoted. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's one of those things where it's like, do you really want do you really want to just give the game away for free to your most, active members of your community? I mean, I personally say yes, but it's true. It's true. We need paid copies and we need paid reviews at a certain point. You need to get... we were just talking about this. To get into real Steam, quote unquote, you need like 500 reviews in like your first month, which is crazy. I feel like people are lucky to get 50, but you need 500 to really get the discovery engine going. Crazy. All right. Okay. So this should have fixed it. So everything should be good in these terms. Gabe is like, bring your own community and we'll talk. Yeah. Yeah, you need to kickstart it. You got to kickstart this stuff. Did I like move the camera or something? Oh no, I moved the board, didn't I? Which is why I can build in this area. All right. Looks like... Nope. Okay, it was initialized correctly. And then... Oh, and then it's syncing with... I see. I understand. Oh. It's running a sync, so we actually need to do something a little different. Just cheat. I don't really like my buffer 2D bit field thing, but it will work. So we're going to say preview blocks. Say preview block occlusion. We'll just say aux. Okay, it doesn't like that. It doesn't like when I make up words. So we're not gonna do the preview. We're gonna do the settled and then copy the preview. Our double buffering kind of burned us here, but it's okay. Let's at least try to do it somewhat properly. Copy to, dot span, dot copy to preview block occlusion. Why can't I? Oh, are these the wrong? So this needs to be, oh, they're both read write, I guess. This kind of violates the access. Buffer 2D read write is not assignable to parameter type. Do I also have to say dot span? Yeah, I guess I do. Yeah, okay. I could perform a sync immediately, but I kind of want to run it after this system. So I could arrange this a little differently, but I think this will work for now. Real Steam, you're using that? Yeah, it's a term. That's what Chris Z calls it. Okay, it's gotten worse. Okay, and then it gets better. Okay, so we're back to where we were before, which is interesting. So why is that? Why is nothing easy? Hey, Casper Dragon Wolf, how's it going? I've provided Nanigans. Nanigans is saying I've provided you hundreds of hours of entertainment during your work hours for free. More than happy to pay for a copy of the game when it's out. Within reason, you're not paying $1,000. I will not price it at $1,000. Relic, Ropica's Idle Island is $3.99. After reading the funny like meme from the Peak developers about pricing, I kind of want to make Lo-Fi Flyby $7.99. I mean, the real meme price would be $6.99, but I kind of want to go for $7.99. But I feel like I would need to put in double the content that Ropica's Idle Island has. And I think we could do it. I think we could do it. It's going yourself. I'm all right. We're recovering from kind of compute shader misadventure. We're working on stuff. Wow, this song is loud for me. The real meme number would be 420. Yeah. If it's $7.99, then when it's on sale for half off, it's $3.99. And if you've read the meme, you'd know that 7 is also 5, but 3 is also 2, and 2 is basically 0. So if its base price is $7.99, then people will be like, "Oh, $5 game." And then if its half off price is $3.99, people will be like, "Oh, it's free." Casper, you're getting used to a new desktop environment. You went from KDE to Neri. Okay, tell me about that, because I'm about to install Kubuntu on a couple of computers. And I'm doing that specifically for the KDE Plasma environment, as well as the Ubuntu LTS stuff. All right, so why is this not working now? Am I messing up the sync? Should I be doing this a different way? So the preview block We run through the subtle blocks. We run through the subtle blocks. We clear it all. Clear each one. We clear it all and then we copy it to the preview block. So why are we seeing it then? Why are we seeing this problem? You know, I should probably just switch to using a buffer 3D. This doesn't seem to be working very well. KDE is great, very much in tune with the Windows environment. You're just doing a scrolling window manager that tiles windows. Keyboard navigation between windows instead of mouse navigation. Oh, okay. That's cool. Yeah, I'm very much a Windows person. Like, this computer is going to remain Windows indefinitely, as sad as that makes me feel. So the initial data is still bad, but we recover. And follow-ups are fine, seems. There's something weird happening with the cursor mapping system. It's not always recognizing what I've placed, which is weird. Yeah, this is behaving kind of weirdly. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know why it's not recognizing these surfaces all the time. Are we waiting for something? Is that what's happening? That's probably what's happening. Waiting for some system. I would love for a lot of this block system stuff to actually be on a compute shader. I know we just had a failed attempt to do compute shader stuff, but we were trying to do stuff every frame on the rendering thread. I still think we could potentially use it for slower, for data, for calculations that we need to make quickly and in parallel, but not stuff that needs to be every single frame, like rendering. I think there's an opportunity there. Do that stuff. All right. I don't like this. We're just going to switch to a buffer 3D. Thanks, Bago. Yeah, we don't seem to have this issue when we do this in 3D, so... Although, maybe we'll still have the issue. Is it a consequence of our bit field? Defined starting state. I don't really want to change this because I'm going to change it to as a bit field 8 that I store in 3D, and that will also have the same problem. Does this break everything if I do this? If I just define a default value? No, it does not. Okay. What if we ready this and then ran a sync immediately? That maybe help us. Is clear actually doing what I think it does? We and it with 0. I think that should be fine. So instead, what if we did this? We called ready. And then what if after ready, we immediately call the sync? What if we just fully synced everything? Will that fail? Will that fail because everything's like empty? Okay, that didn't seem to do anything. Again, super confusing. Why don't we just do this? Move this up to static level. Now what's your problem? So this would be... Oh. Settled block I got clear. This doesn't do anything. I'm an idiot. There has to be an assignment. This'll work now. So we're just getting a totally cleared bit field. All right, now it all works. Now it all works. So again, don't mind the way the cursor is following me around. Oh, we're gonna get the camera stuff. What makes this happen? And now we're fine. And I feel like the Paul Rudd computer meme where he just like freaks out and is just like, I'm fine. But yeah, we're back. And this rendering performance seems okay. This rendering performance is acceptable to me. There's some corner stuff I need to fix that looks really wrong with this cursor thing. Or the canvas item drawing thing, whatever you call it. It's okay if this is a little janky because this is the editor. But it should still be okay. Here's something awkward. Look at this. So we need some kind of thing where we also are managing the cutaway. Or we just won't see. So this will run. It's running. I think it's running in the background. Eventually this should, yeah, there we go. Okay, so the occlusion system by itself is insufficient because it's too slow. So we need some temporary workaround. We need to also consider the cutaway. So I guess it's, well, this isn't the cutaway. Yeah, we need something faster. I think that's what I want the GPU to do. Maybe we stop asking the GPU to do the rendering and maybe we start asking it to do this very voxelized work that can be done very effectively in parallel. Maybe that's what we ask it to do. Instead. So that we can actually get this nice drawing performance. Shenanigans. All right, we're gonna run this with the debugger on, the profiler on. Take a look at it. So far, we're doing good. Let me track these lines too. Oh yeah, right now the physics process is only running like... It's not running that often. I want to see these script functions. Alright, so if we start going to town on this, like I wanna see the difference between rendering the inner shell versus rendering the outer shell. So we'll build up an inner shell here. But I don't think this rendering is like terribly expensive. It might be for this brief moment when I do this. That would be an interesting test for me. And then it should return to normal. Because that's like a huge change that we made. Okay, and then this happens. So do I need to wait for something to finish occurring? Is there like some stuff happening in the background? And if I don't wait for it to finish before doing something like this, yeah, I don't know what causes that. There's something that all it does is crazily increases the rendering time, and it seems to be just as simple as moving the camera up here. Okay, and it goes away when stuff's off screen. Once the stuff's on screen again, it freaks out. There's something concerning. Well, there's more than one thing concerning, but... What's going on these frames? 650 calls to get texture atlas. Only 3 milliseconds. The draw functions are so expensive. This is why I want to change it so that we're drawing by compartment. Because what's happening now is if we make changes to a lot of the z-index layers all at once, if you make changes to a lot of those, that affects so many layers. But because we're usually going to be working in a compartment and drawing compartments, it's unlikely that more than a compartment will change, instead of this situation where like dozens of layers are changing all at once. So I think that's good. I think we want to head in that direction. That involves me needing to bring the cutaway system back to life a little bit here. I pretty much nuked it while we were doing some other stuff.
Never mind what happened yesterday and all
do want to mess around with some more pipeline stuff, though.
For right now, I'm just gonna let this one ride.
Does anyone else think that lo-fi is such a good genre, except for when there's like a vocal sample every like 10 seconds, 30 seconds? Just some random vocal sample taken from like a movie or a song or a TV show or something. Just, I hate it. I love the genre and I hate that so much. If I wanted to listen to Carl Sagan, I would watch Cosmos, which I do. I do like Carl Sagan and I do want to hear what he has to say. But it's always some Alan Watts MF in here. There's especially the guy that's always going on about Future Pants. It drives me insane. I think I downloaded that song, so we're never going to hear it again. All right, so what do I need to do? We need something. We need something that will work quickly on the preview block cycle. We need to react to cutaways very quickly. Actually, it's not even cutaways. We need to react to a lot of this very quickly. I think there's just a very different approach we could take if we went by compartment. Let's get the cutaway system working so that people can actually understand what I mean by compartment. Because this system has been deprecated here for... Not deprecated. It's been languishing here for a long time. What's the canvas item drawing system do right now? Oh yeah, we also don't need this hash code thing. But we're going to keep doing it. I don't think it's that slow. Maybe it is. So the way the compartment-based rendering will work, there will be a layer 0. And that will need to be every block. Layer 0 is going to be kind of beastly. But maybe we can manage. It also can't just be per compartment, because Nanigans raised some interesting questions about... Well, maybe it can just be per compartment. There's some possible arrangements of compartments where a compartment is both behind and in front of another compartment, and that does present a challenge, because each compartment is only going to be rendered... Like, you won't be able to do that kind of Y sorting on a per compartment basis. That's not going to happen. So we might need to have, like, sub-compartments, which are all contiguous, like, rectangular areas. And we might need to draw them like that. And we might need a system that can detect when you have a weirdly shaped compartment and reduce it to a series of rooms. A series of regular rectangularly shaped rooms. I think that'll work. That could be bad too. That could cause some problems. But we need to try something. If a compartment has a conflict like that, you should be able to detect it and split it in two. Yeah, exactly. All right, so what we want to do, though... You know, we could have another system. Actually, what we could do here, we could say, we could have this be a little different. Instead of, it could say, if there's a cutaway, oh no, this is tough. It's tough to do this slowly here. And again, if it's a room fully within another room, you can just draw the smaller room on top of the bigger one. Not really, because what about the part of the bigger room that's in front of the smaller room? So yeah, I think we're just gonna have to break every space up into rectangular areas. I think that'll be okay. All right, we're heading into ads. I'm going to take a quick bio break. I'll be right back in a few minutes. I appreciate everyone hanging out with us here today. We're working on an isometric FTL-like in Godot. And I'll be right back. And we'll keep going on that for a while. right, we're back. Thanks for hanging out. Okay. Thanks for the hydrate, Nix. Got that tea and biscuit? No, after the stream. After the stream. That'll be snack time. All right. Yeah. I haven't earned it yet. Well, I'm glad I learned how to set up compute shaders in Godot, because now I have ideas about how to use them. I do think using it for our main render method seems to be a poor use. I think interfacing with the canvas item and doing it through there is I think it's probably going to be easier. And I also think it'll be easier if we offload some of the work, some of this calculation, background calculation stuff to a compute shader, which can respond to us in time. I don't know how to tell if a compute shader job is done, though. I'm going to look that stuff up later. I've learned that playing with compute shaders is something I should do offline. Because of the chance that I totally occupy the GPU and prevent it from doing anything, especially video encoding. So instead, we're going to just focus on... Yeah, I think there's some pipeline stuff we could do, which would be quite good. Right now, we got to do a couple other things. I think one area that a compute shader could really help with, and I was talking to someone about this, is our flood filling. Compute shader would be very good at flood filling. And what's nice is we can, like... Well... Yeah, we can pass some block data to the GPU and then use it in a bunch of different processes. Like, we should be able to minimize the amount of back and forth, which is always a goal. But I think we'll also be working with such a small amount of data relatively that it'll be fine. What we need to do now, I think before we get the cutaway system working, because with the cutaway system... Well, there's two versions of the cutaway system. There's a very simple version of the cutaway system, which is just raw, eliminating all. It's just making like, it's basically using like a CSG kind of thing to just cut out a cubic space between the camera and the cursor. That's the simple version of the cutaway. But what we really want is the compartment version of the cutaway. But to get the compartment version of the cutaway, we need to actually make sure we're flood filling the compartments. Do you need a CCL kernel? You think the one you had for the Unity destruction engine might help? CCL is generalized flood fill. Maybe. I mean, the Unity destruction engine. Yeah, I would be just doing this as flood fill in the Godot compute shader. I mean, what we're filling is very specific. It's like block data. So I don't know how much of the specifics are the same. Like what we do when we do a flood fill is we are setting room flags. So we're assigning blocks as if they belong to different rooms. Where is that system? Is that system not around right now? Yeah, I remember you talking about your destruction program you made. It seemed really cool. Block occlusion, so block flood filling system. You were using it for detecting islands of pixels in 2D. Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, this is going to be extended into 3D. But it's pretty stable. Right now what we do is we just run it on a background thread in C#, but I would still like to, you know, offload a little more work to the GPU. Our GPU doesn't do much. But I got to be careful because, man, I really hosed it up last time. All right. Here's our flood filling system. It takes in a buffer 3D read write called block rooms. Block rooms should just be a bit field 64 of room values. So right now there can only be up to 64 rooms. That might be a problem. I don't think it'll be a problem. It might be a problem. Because to divide a 64 by 64 by 64 space into more than 64 rooms seems unlikely. But like, what happens when we run out of rooms? Like, that would be devastating. Especially depending on how we think of it in terms of sub-compartments. What we could have is 64 primary compartments and then like 64 sub-compartments for each primary compartment. That could maybe help us avoid reaching that limit. It would depend on what the difference is in terms of a primary compartment and a sub-compartment. Primary compartment might be for flood filling purposes, like for the movement of gases and things like that, stuff that just moves through the space. And then we might have like a sub-compartment, which is like a visual designation, which is for Y sorting and Z indexing purposes. That could work. That could work. Why do you recreate a bunch of this behavior? I don't know. I don't know. All right, flood filling. So you got the block rooms buffer 3D. So block rooms, that's the bit flags that say all the rooms that your block belongs to. Block tags, we know what that is. That's our generic. That's our... I almost need to split it between preview flags and like settled flags. Well, no, maybe not. Maybe not. We only really have this double buffered distinction right now for the block editor. It'll be interesting to see how that works in game when we need to actually make changes. We probably won't need to make such sweeping changes that we make elsewhere. And we'll, if such a crazy situation does happen, like let's say like your ship like half of your ship explodes or something like that, probably find a way to slow things down while that gets resolved. I am seriously considering, instead of having a smooth flying like camera, to have like the whole block simulation shifts over by one block. But that would also be bad. I guess that doesn't take advantage of canvas item. Maybe that's what I'd want to do if we were compute shader rendering, because I could just redraw the thing there instead. But no, I guess part of the value of rendering to a canvas item is that you don't need to re-render the canvas item, and then it's actually quite cheap to just physically move, to either move around the canvas item or to have the canvas item move around you. Slow-mo. Yeah, that's like the EVE Online approach of like catastrophic performance failures. Like when things get too complicated in EVE, they just slow down the simulation tick until it becomes reasonable. Nanigans, you're gonna head out. Take care. Have a good weekend. Thanks, Nanigans. Have a good weekend. I'll see you later. Take it easy. I will be streaming tomorrow. We'll probably tackle a lot more of these same problems then. should be a bit more rested tomorrow, which will be nice. It'll be a little easier. So what's all this room bounds buffer stuff? So these are, so what we had before is we would set a bounding box around each room. That was like an axis aligned bounding box. And that's kind of what I want to do now, but with subcompartments. So we'll need to go through, we'll need to do an additional step after this, which would be slower, which is like performance loss becomes trauma, bug becomes feature. Yeah, exactly. All right. So part of the reason we changed from our old block composition to our new block composition was before a block was like a very strict thing. Like a block, not this one, Dave. A block previously was this thing that had this like upper segment and this lower segment. It had like a wall and it had like a deck plate. And the wall was maybe not there. It was maybe just the deck plate, but this whole thing was considered a block. And it was like a space you could move through or fill up. Now our blocks are individual solid pieces. Like they don't have the concept of floor or anything or wall. They're just a solid piece. And part of the reason to do that was this block can't tell you what room its ceiling belongs to. It could tell you what the floor of the block above it belongs to, but it's a lot harder to do 6-way flood filling when there's no ceiling piece in the block. So this will be a little easier. It means I probably need to change some things. This code sucks. I wrote this a long time ago. So we do an exterior flood fill. Get a fill volume. Flood volume is the fill volume dot enlarge 1. This way we flood our way around the entire thing and we don't get stuck by anything on the edge. Figure out our neighbors. Get the list of the blocks we visited. Of just the outer flood coordinates. This code sucks. The one who wrote said code 2026. Yeah. I didn't write the code in 2026. This code's old. But I mean, I would say the same thing about code I wrote yesterday. Coords, stack pop, blocks, block tags, getter default, coords, blocks.has, block tags, haul, continue. So we don't write anything into... Oh, because we're trying to start a flood fill, right? So if the block has a haul already, we don't care. So what we're going to do is fill neighboring cells on the same Z level. So right now we fill a neighboring cell 1 Z level above and 1... Oh, did I already update this to include above and below? No, I don't think so. I don't know, maybe I did. You've definitely insulted scripting you've done like earlier that day, earlier that hour even. Yeah, it's usually rough. But at least right when you write it, you know, you're relieved that it actually accomplishes whatever goal it accomplishes, and it doesn't really matter that it sucks. But when you come back to it later, you really notice that it is not good code. All right, so same level. We get the neighbors, the 2D neighbors. Vector 3 adjacent, coords plus offset. If visited contains adjacent, or it's not in the fill volume. Forget about it. Otherwise, push it. Add So here's one problem already that's obvious. How do I want to treat exterior walls? Past you is always a shit dev, but current you never does anything to avoid becoming past you. I know, it's almost inexorable that our current selves become our past selves. We just gotta hope. We just gotta hope in our future selves. All right. So the thinking, the conundrum, is that I want a wall to know what rooms it's part of. I want that. I want it to know that. Problem is, it's really hard to know what blocks don't correspond. You know, if we don't allow double walls, this actually becomes a lot easier, which we already don't allow. We don't allow double walls. So if we don't allow double walls, then every block will correspond. Is that true? What if we have a T-junction? Where does the center of the T-junction belong? It does diagonal checks, so it would belong to both. Okay, okay. So yeah, we do. I'm just trying to avoid the, like, trying to prove that a block is an exterior block. Which I guess you could be like, oh, its room flag is 0. Although now we know that those bit fields don't get initialized correctly, so maybe we have to be careful about that. Nix, the only hope you have in future Nix is that they will be able to sleep tonight. It's 11:11 now, so your hope is fading fast. Oh no. All right, so right now we're just visiting every block that is adjacent to an outer block, an exterior block, like something exposed to outer space. I think this still works. I think I did actually change this for how our new blocks work, which makes sense because the system still runs. Okay, the interior block. So I'm interested in getting the compartment hierarchy, which we don't do anymore. But I am interested in this. And getting the compartment hierarchy essentially means getting the list of all the rooms that are in front of our room. Like all the compartments that obscure our compartment. And that will be helpful for the cutaway. You're not doing it right now. But we should be. We should also be doing these room bounds things, which is probably more of like a sub-compartment deal. So the interior flood fill is also should be fine. Sea level above, sea level below. This is wrong. So the signs for this are wrong. So I don't think I've worked on this since we flipped the Z axis. So I should go back and correct that, because I was just reading this, and we say 1 z level above, and then we say minus z. So gotta correct for that. Here we say below, and we say positive plus. So that's flipped. Z is up now. We'll flip that as well. These also conditions I don't think make sense. So we fill each neighboring cell on the same Z level. Great. Not forms dot contains adjacent. Not forms dot contains adjacent. Okay, sure. Block forms. We're just checking. Why are we doing it this way? I guess there's a good reason somewhere. All right, but when we try to go up, we say if there isn't a block. Oh. So when we say adjacent and offset, this includes the diagonal neighbors, right? Like we're looking for diagonal neighbors, right? Adjacent is true, diagonal is true. Okay. Okay, so we are checking the adjacent and the diagonal. So actually we need to check the blocks above and below us also at that adjacent and diagonal. Should that just be vector 3 get neighboring cells then? Would it be easier if we just did this? We just did this instead. One pass. We need diagonal checks because I don't want to have this diagonal nonsense of like being able to pass through like closed diagonal stuff. We're not gonna have any of that. So we're gonna check the diagonal. Can you blacklist Good Morning by Kino? You don't need no damn alarm clock going off at 11. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. That makes sense. As someone who was just ranting about vocal samples and these things. Thanks, I appreciate it. So maybe we do a vector 3i get neighboring cells. Probably the easiest way to do this. It's a static function. So it would be... Where did I put it? After the operators here? Okay. I should really write some kind of summary for it. I'm getting so bad about maintaining these custom vectors. I started so strong with so much documentation. But man, it is hard to keep up. It is hard to continue to care as I go along. So you need to keep track of some kind of property then. Where's this property stored? This is just some hard-coded array, isn't it? It's a static. But it's gonna be bigger. Where did I put this? Right at the top. Hard to continue to care as I go along. Now you sound like you're fixing bugs. Yeah. Bemused. There was a song back in like 2010 that had like the text message sound in it, and every time it was in the club, like 100 people pull their phones out all at once. That's funny. Yeah, the one that gets my goat right now is when I don't know if I've heard it in songs, but I think I'm hearing it in like I'm hearing it in something. I'm hearing it somewhere, and I don't know what it is. Where I'm hearing. Maybe I'm hearing it in streams and stuff. But I'm hearing people's like Discord notifications, and it drives me insane. Whether I'm in like voice chat, like watching someone's stream, or if I'm in like Twitch, or whatever. Whenever I can hear people's Discord pings, that drives me crazy. That's like the same thing for me of like hearing the message notification. All right, okay, so now we need to go through all of the neighboring cells, so this is great. I need to essentially copy this 4 times. I don't know what order this is being done in. Because it doesn't matter. Maybe I do it like this. We work our way up or something. Although, hold on a second. Am I overdoing this? No, I'm not overdoing this. Well, that is a kind of diagonal. The worst is watching a stream or a YouTube video and you hear the Windows disconnect device sound. You're like, great, what happened? Yeah, that's rough. Next, you have the Discord ping as a sound. It's a soundboard. Oh my god, you have that on a soundboard. Alright, how do I want to do this? Because we have diagonally adjacent as a separate group, so I can like not provide that, but... So would that mean... That would mean a lot. Do I consider diagonally adjacent to be up and over by 1? Yeah, I think so. I think you either want to return the first 6 coordinates. I think you'd want to initially return. So 1 0, you'd want to return 1 0 0, 1 0 0, negative 1 0 0, negative 1 0 0, and then what you would want, what you'd want after that, you'd actually want 0 0 1. Maybe 0 0, negative 1. I don't know. You'd want something like this for the purely adjacent, quote unquote. And then the diagonally adjacent will be all the rest of these. Yeah, this seems fine. 0. I hate vectors. Let's see if we end up with the right number. We should end up with what? 8 plus 9 plus 9. 18 and 8. 26. Something like that. What is this? This is 12? 6? Why is this only 18? What am I missing? Oh, I only had 4 of these. Oh, because I didn't think about... Right, there's additional... I need these two. 0, 0. No, I don't need 0, 0. I need... Oh, I need these. I need these as well. I don't really care what order they fall in. Okay, so here they all are. This should be the right number now. So it's 6 and this should be 20. Yeah, 26. Okay, these are all the 3D adjacent cells. Get neighboring cells, whatever, neighboring cells. And then so get neighboring cells returns a vector 3i. And this actually, it goes from 0 to... So you go from 0 to 6. This is an exclusive end, right? 0 start length. Oh, it's the length. Okay, so we say 0, we say 6. And here we say 6, and then we say 20. Okay, so now you can get your neighboring cells. You can get just your adjacent 6, or you could get all the diagonal 20. All right, okay, we have that. So we can do this in 3D now. That'll make it a little easier. Drifting off, was the bug solved? Yes, yes it was. Thanks, Arneo. It had to do with the bit fields having like an undefined starting value. You can sleep then? Oh, thank you, Arneo. Good night. Take it easy. The QR bug. That's a good name for it, Bermuse. All right, so now we're not going to do this. So read-only span vector 2i. So do I want to do this on the exterior as well? Can I do the exterior flood fill? I probably, whatever I do down there, I should probably do up here. But then if we do that, we don't need to... So here we're doing some extra stuff. And that was to handle ceilings. So we'd specify an adjacent block. We would do this extra check of not block tags, try get adjacent block. So if there wasn't a block here, we would just continue. Why is that? isn't a block here? I feel like I'd want to do this the same way, right? For all of these? If not block has any block tags haul. Yeah, these different Z level things is totally wrong. For the glorious future we live in. We can treat everything uniformly now, I think. I'm actually gonna comment out the whole process for this. Rewrite it. So the neighbors thing is gonna be a vector 3i. Take it easy, Magoo. Unless that was addressed to Arneo. Alright, so all we really need to do when we do this flood fill. So yeah, if this block is solid, we continue. Otherwise, what we want to do is we want to say for each neighbor, for each neighboring cell, you can just say neighbor. Actually, I guess it's an offset. In neighboring cells and neighbors. The adjacent vector is the coords plus the offset. I think we can just do this logic here. Just this simple logic. If we've already visited this cell, or it's not included in the volume that we're supposed to fill, we just forget it. Otherwise, we push it and we visit it. So we have some extra logic here for the different Z levels. And I think that had to do with the different. So here you'd say block tags, try get, adjacent out block tags, edge block, continue. So there was some Z level specific stuff we were checking, but I don't know why we would care whether there was a block tag. And we would continue if there wasn't. I think it's because we weren't really doing vertical stuff very much. But we're trying to do it more because our block structure changed. So let's just go with that. Let's go with that and see if that works. We'll do the same thing down here for the interior. I think the interior is a little more complicated. I feel like I should call it flood fill exterior and flood fill interior so that they can be next to each other. I'm gonna rename this, yeah. I could call it outer space and inner space. Flood fill outer space. I like that. I think that's funny. Here we'll have flood fill inner space. Now I can move these around to be in the same, to be next to each other. Move it up here. They're very similar functions. I feel like it makes sense to have them next to each other. Which I know I could just do, but I don't know. Don't judge me. That's another, we talked about the various problems programmers have. Another problem is like, it's not naming per se, but just organization, code organization. There's so many different ways people organize their functions. The like Uncle Bob style is to have like all the top level functions near the top. And then you go to the more niche functions as you read down so that like you can at a glance figure out generally what's happening. And then you read down to like get the more niche details. But I don't find that terribly satisfying. So I don't know. I think it's one of those things I can agonize over for a long time. Hey, Push Toy, how's it going? Happy Friday. How you doing? Uncle Bob's style is 4 lines per function. Look, I was talking about their organization, but yeah. I think that's dumb. I do that sometimes. Sometimes I do that. But that's just, you're not actually reducing complexity. You're just hiding complexity behind abstractions. But I still do that. So like in the, sometimes you just want to do that. You want to hide the complexity so you don't have to think about it at the high level. So like I'll do that here when we're doing our canvas item draws. When we're preparing those draws, we get down here and we get this auto tiled coordinates, which is like how we know how we're going to auto tile the tile. And I get to this function and all I've done is I say stuff like if has edge negative X, if has edge negative Y, if has edge positive X. And like I have hidden all of the complex auto tiling rules into these functions. And so like this is horrible, but this is what you look at. This is the actual auto tiling logic, which also recursively calls itself, in case you weren't paying attention. But yeah, that all of this complexity is still here, wherever here is. Wherever that auto-tiled, get auto-tiled, yeah, the get auto-tiled chords. That insane series of like switches and conditionals and everything. It's right here, but you can't see it. So yeah, I think lines per function is silly. I know you're probably saying that in jest. Few people invoke Uncle Bob with deadly seriousness. Which I actually agree with a lot of what Uncle Bob says, but you know, that's different than wanting to do clean code. I agree with the impulse behind it, but I don't think I agree with the dogma that's come up in the last, few decades around it. But that's the case with all dogmatic implementations of anything. They usually miss the forest for the trees. But how are you doing, Push Toy? But Muse, the problem... You think the problem is code is so technical, but being intuitive and organized is so much more vibe-driven? I mean, at a certain point, all scripts can be broken down to if-else functions at different levels of abstraction. Yeah. The question is, do you make an effort to hide the abstraction? And does the efforts you make to hide the abstractions cost you anything? Because the answer is yes. It's just a question of, like, what? And whether you care. I would love to get these flood fills into something more effective. But this is also, I have to understand how jump flood works, how like a parallel flood filling works. I mean, I could do it a little bit here. I could do a little bit. But I feel like to a certain extent, you're liable to like duplicate effort, which I don't want to do. Okay, so where's the additional logic here? So if we visited this and there is nothing here, then we continue. I don't understand this. I don't understand this line. I don't know why we care. Like if we can't find, oh, if we can't find a block here, we know we're outside of the bounds. Is that it? Oh, well, we don't need to do that up here. Why are we doing that up here? We have this fill volume check. I guess that's serving the same purpose. Yeah, okay, okay. But we don't have access to the fill volume when we're down here. So we use something else. We use the coordinates of this. I kind of understand now. I'm going to rename this. I'm also going to move it back here. Readability is more important than just having fewer code lines. Yeah, it can be. It depends on whether you're just adding, whether you're actually adding indirection, like true indirection, or if you're just making an aesthetic change to the code. All right, where's tags being initialized? Block tags. Bushtoy, can you ask about, you want to ask about my JetBrains experience? You can't get C-Lion to work with that insane CPU usage. Yeah, what is C-Lion? I've heard people talking about that in the context of this. That's their C++ developer tool. I've had no problems with JetBrains Rider for C#. I also don't add a lot of plugins or anything. So I've had nothing but good experiences so far with Rider. But I'm also very careful. Like I've avoided installing, like I've been writing a GLSL. And the only editor IDE I have is Rider, so I've just been writing my GLSL in Rider. And it's like, it doesn't work very well for that. I mean, it works fine, but it's like there's no syntax coloring. There's a plugin you can get that does stuff like that, but that's where I hear all the errors and like the horrible performance comes in. People were like, yeah, you could get this plugin that like gives you GLSL support that's better, but it's like, I don't know. I think it's like, it can be like an extension problem, like bogging your like VS Code down with like tons of plugins and stuff. So I've avoided doing that here. So I don't know if I have the typical experience. The Muse, nothing is realer than looking at your own scripts and going, I don't understand. How does this work? Like someone else wrote it. Yeah, well, it's really concerning when it functions, but I can't understand why it functions the way that it does. Like, if I don't get it and it's broken, that's fine. I can reconcile that. But when I don't get it and it's running exactly as it's supposed to, that's when I'm concerned. That's when I have some issues. Oh, okay. Nicks, or when you're scrutinizing a terribly written code, not understanding what the person was on while writing said garbage, only to slowly come to the realization that it was you. I mean, I always know it was me. It's always been me. I've always been the caretaker. So for each vector 3 offset in neighbors, neighbors needs to become a vector 3 offset. So if we've already visited this, or It's not in the area we're supposed to be flooding. We continue. We just do that. Yeah, I don't think we need to do anything more complicated here. I think we just flood fill all of the interior rooms like this. I think this room index stuff already works. I don't think we need any of this special Z-level checks. So the checks that we have here that's new is this: if adjacent block has block.tags.haul, continue. I get that for this, but we're also doing that here. How's Godot been treating me? Hey, Radioactive. It's all right. I like it. We've been working in Godot for a few years now. Coming from over a decade of like Unity, like hobbyist, like game dev, it's night and day. I'm working on a 2D game, and let me tell you, 2D support for Godot is good. It is good living for a 2D dev. If you're doing 3D, I don't know. I think it's fine. I made a couple of 3D games in Godot. But to me, it's way less special compared to just the way its 2D systems work, which are just pixel perfect everything. What do? Do you do some Godot dev? Vimuse. It works, but I don't know why. What in the name of heaven is this? You're out of your Vulcan mind. What just happened? Radioactive just gave 25 sub gifts. What? I don't understand. I don't understand what I'm just watching right now. I'm speechless. I'm literally speechless. You also got us to level 6 hype train by yourself. Mono game for you? You don't even use Godot? Oh my lord. Mono game is cool. So you came in because you saw the C# maybe? I would be interested in trying mono game. Because I'm a weirdo. Like, there's a whole reason why we're using C# with Godot, and it doesn't make sense. I'd be interested in trying mono game. I'm sorry if my response to this was muted. I'm like kind of blown away right now. I'm not gonna lie, my initial instinct was I'm like, how is this legit? But you look legit. You look legit. I'm blown away. Thank you so much. You've set a new record. I gotta rethink my sound, my sound stuff that happens whenever people give a sub gift bomb and a hype train. They each have their own sound effect, and they get played over each other all the time. I gotta rethink that. No worries. You're tempted to use it next? Oh, you've just been traveling around, spreading the love, Radioactive. I appreciate that. You think you can call that an angel investor? I think I can as well. We got our new gift leader. Our level 1 gift leader here, and hype train conductor. Thank you so much. That's so crazy. That's so crazy that you did that. I really appreciate that. Well, it's time to go to GodotCon. Let's reinvest that money. I'm waiting to hear what the American GodotCon is going to be. But I really want to go. I can't go to the Europe one. It'd be too much. Okay, I think flood filling is going to work this way. What we need to do is we need to get our compartment hierarchy stuff going again, because I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need that logic to do cascading cutaways. But yeah, I think the flood fill, let's just see if it works, I guess. Is it running? Is it being run? I think it is. Let's just see if it causes an error. Thank you again, Radioactive. So crazy. I appreciate the vibes. Okay, it's not crashing. So as long as we don't make huge changes all at once, the system seems to be able to stabilize. Adding is really easy. Subtracting is a problem. Subtracting is going to be a bit of a problem. So like if we do this, you'll notice that it'll just hang until it's able to recalculate. So we need a solution for this. And I think rendering by compartment is going to be the solution. It's going to be a little weird when we have these cases where there are no compartments. We're just in this solid everything is outside thing. I have to think about how that works. Might have to treat things like space debris kind of differently.
You're out of your Vulcan mind.
No, okay. Now I'm concerned. Radioactive is gifting 50 tier 1 subs to the community. For 100. And 2 out of 40 from our goal. Don't get me wrong, I'm thrilled, Radioactive, but I'm concerned as well. I'm concerned as well. This is too much money to be throwing on a stranger in their channel that you just came in and have never hung out in before. It's not ingratitude. I'm not ungrateful. I'm just concerned. I'm just concerned. But I appreciate it. Thank you very much. You're truly a legend. I don't think I have this many viewers. Yeah, if you give $500 to a random person on the street, it makes them uneasy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if someone walked up, asked me how I was doing, and then handed me like $500, I would be concerned. But no, thank you. Thank you very much. Hey, Symbol. Yeah. I'm speechless. We're at a level 10 hype train. Yeah, this is crazy. Mad lad. I know. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about this, but just carry on. And hope I don't get like a huge chargeback from PayPal. I appreciate you. I do appreciate it. You said you understood the concern, so I think you do. But I really appreciate the support. Saving the chat from ads here. We do have to end the stream. We do have to end. I stopped. I didn't end it because of the hype train. No chargeback. You get it. I don't know what you do for a living, but I wish you all the success. You're in mono game, you said. So, yeah. Good luck with that. We like mono game. Okay, so rendering performance seems to have stabilized. There's still some weird stuff happening. I think there's something happening if I don't wait for some of the settled block pipeline stuff to finish. We get some really weird behavior. I don't know how to trigger it. It makes me super concerned that I don't know how to trigger this occasional performance bug. I also, once I move to selection mode, I can no longer edit blocks anymore. That's a bug I need to fix. All right, well, you're a legend. You're a legend, Radioactive. I'm almost out of snoozes here. I'm still speechless. We got a minute left in our hype train, which is a level 10 hype train, which we've never had before. Here. You know what's crazy? You don't have a sub. Let me fix that. Let me blast you with the phaser here. Phaser of friendship. Really appreciate it, Radioactive. All right, what's in our hype train chest? Oh, nice. That's good. Cheers. Let me hit you with my new little emote. Does the friendship laser hurt? Not a lot. Can be annoying sometimes. Crazy. 75 gifted subs. It's huge.
Your logic was impeccable, Captain.
Crazy. We just finished a level 10 hype train. We just got 75 gifted subs from our newest friend, Radioactive. So crazy. Yeah, I gotta go now. I gotta go call my accountant. Oh, you missed it. Yeah, now I'm going. I know I'm the worst. I'm like a scum. But we'll be back tomorrow. We'll do this again tomorrow. All right. Radioactive, that was huge. Thank you. I still don't have any words. I don't have any words. I think it's crazy. I don't know what life is right now. I gotta go decompress. Which really means I need to go do my laundry. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll keep working on this. I'll maybe do some compute trader junk on the side, but I'm gonna not try to test that on stream. But yeah. I guess all that's left is yeah, where was everyone during the hype train? Everyone's like coming back and like, what happened? Insanity. 75 gifted to end the stream. Yeah, I will end the stream at any moment. Just pay me and I'll stop the stream. But no, thank you, Radioactive. I appreciate you so much. 75 says the person who gave them. 75. You did not expect the gifted mental thrall. Neither did I. Neither did I. I think it was struggling to find recent chatters. So welcome in. First time chat, new sub. Thank you so much. I don't know what you do for a living, Radio. I already said this, but I wish you all the success. Thanks for sharing your success with us. I think it's crazy. But yeah, I gotta go. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.